Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and on this video I'll do a comparison of Marshall JCM800 2203, Marshall Silver Jubilee 2555X and the Friedman BE-OD pedal. Also included is the good old BOSS Super Overdrive. So stay tuned after the intro. Well, yes, indeed. Like I showed on the intro, I'm gonna do a comparison between Marshall Silver Jubilee 2555X, the reissue model, and JCM800 2203, which isn't on the picture but will be later, and a Friedman BE-OD amp-like pedal. It says OD, but it's more of a, distortion pedal, like a preamp pedal. Yeah, and I'll try to dial in with the similar sounds of all. I mean, they all operate on the same ballpark, because the Friedman is basically, well, it's a pedal version of Friedman's BE amplifier, which is basically a hot-rodded Marshall. So what you just heard was a Silver Jubilee boosted with an overdrive, and everything, all amps, both amps and the pedal go into the same place. They go to my Sir reactive load IR, and there I've chosen the cabinet that I've been mostly using, Marshall Mode 4 cabinet with a Celestion Vintage 30s and EVH speakers, mic with SM57 and Royal 121, and the Vintage 30 being the dominant one. And from there it goes to Avid 11 Rack, which is only as an audio interface, and from there to Logic. Okay, so let's hear how this sound without overdrive pedal. So the Silver Jubilee is kind of like it's based on a JCM800 2203, but it's more I don't know, sophisticated one. It's not as all over the place. It's more I don't know, some maybe would say better sounding or easier sounding or whatever. And the controls actually, they really do make a difference, because with 800 and with the old Marshalls, it's like you need to really turn them to hear anything. But the good thing is that those amps sound basically good whenever you dial the knobs. But yeah, let me actually demonstrate how effective the knobs are on the Jubilee. Let's say the middle, for example. Just a tiny bit and you can hear it. Again, I like to have it where the sweet spot is, where it just opens. Well, yeah, okay. So that's just to show that these controls actually do make a difference. And what else? Let's go quickly through the amp specs. I've done a video, but anyway. And then there's this, like I told you, it's a modern version of 800. There's a pull. When you pull it, you add more gain. So, and it compresses the sound and makes it a bit more modern. So, and since it compresses, it lowers the volume. So. I like it to be on the not pulled setting. It's more open and stuff. And then I like to boost like any other amp with an overdrive. So boost it with an overdrive. Okay, then let's switch to clean channel. And the way and then put the Friedman on. I don't know if you can see, but I'll put a picture. The green dots are the settings that I have when I play with Friedman to a new neighbor speaker emulator. So when I don't use an amplifier, well, it's using a new neighbor is basically like if you would connect this to directly to cabinet or via power amp. But now I've connected to the input, and since now there's like two preamps going on, because it's this one, it's basically a preamp, and then it goes into the Jubilee's preamp. So you really need to tweak these or these, which versa. The way I dial it, the sound, let me actually explain, because in Shining we played with real amps, and I usually played with the Marshall JCM800 because that can take anything, that just works, and since the controls aren't not that effective, it just sounds great whenever you dial them, basically. So but many amps you really have to tweak, or some amps don't take like distortion pedals that well, and then the solution is maybe to put the amp-like preamp pedal into the effect loop. But I find out that Marshalls usually, especially the older ones with two inputs, like on the JCM800, if you use the low input, it takes really well stuff. But let's get back to that later. But okay, the clean sound. So in Shining, because we played usually with rental backline, so I dialed in my clean sound, because we had a lot of like totally clean sounds, which I don't normally use, but in Shining I did, because there's these clean passages. And then I hooked the Friedman, and I put it on the input, the clean channel, and then I dialed in the Friedman so that it would sound good. Again, this kind of rock tone. which still cleans like what I do. So now basically I have two channels, total crystal clean, or not that total clean, because I like the Marshalls, they have kind of like a little bit that zing in there. And then this one, Friedman, and yeah, like I guess I told you, but the green dots are the settings that I have on when I play with Syra with the New Neighbor Iconoclast, and this totally different. So whenever you're dialing something, if you see some picture, okay, that's a good setting because that guy uses that doesn't mean anything. You have to use your ears because it all depends where you put this into, what guitar you have, etc. So, you know, close your eyes and tweak the knobs. Okay, so those are the settings now. And then let's engage the overdrive. So here it's kind of like Marshall. Let's put it back to Marshall. So, as you can maybe hear, the tube amp, it's a bit more open and stuff. The Friedman, no, it's not a tube amp. So it's well, it sounds good, but it's actually surprisingly good, and actually blind test, could you tell that whether you're using because I mean now we're using the Marshall's, you know, tubes, and this goes into that, so of course there's tubes involved, but when I have this now the preamp gain is made via Marshall, via the preamp tubes, and then I switch to clean channel and use this, then the distortion, the gain is made via the Friedman. But well, there's a reason why this is my favorite amp-like pedal, and would I use live with Syra, because we don't play with real amps. So like I told you, I just hook this up to a Super Overdrive, this into New Neighbor Iconoclast speaker emulator, and from there it goes to our monitor desk, into our in-ears, and then via cable to the front of house, and then the audience can hear it from the PA system. Okay, and then I have a decimator there just to cut off the hiss. Let me demonstrate. You know, these things, distortion overdrive pedals, they create sometimes quite a lot of that electrical noise, and that noise gates, noise suppressors usually removes that very nicely. And some people have asked me that what's wrong with their stuff, because when they put the Friedman in front of the amp, they get a lot of like feedback and whatever. Well, I guess the reason is that you have just too much gain. I mean, I have the gain like now it's like 8 o'clock, and there's a trim pot inside. It's usually set at noon, the stock settings. I have set it up maybe like 9 or 10, so it's even lower. So I just have the gain so that it just opens up a bit. Like that. And then when you add the SD, okay, it was a little bit, but yeah, if you had too much gain, it's like that. And every amp works differently and so on. So, oh yeah, that's the Friedman and the Silver Jubilee. Great amp, great pedal, and as with everything, everything sounds tight and great when you include the Super Overdrive. Yeah, and you can hook this into a power amp section if your amp has an effect loop. This has. It's again total different ball game. You have to tweak everything, you know, completely differently, because then this is the only preamp and not this, because now these are together, and then because it goes then directly into the amp's power amp. But yeah, so then what you do if you want to put this into an effect loop, just directly to the power amp, you just put it to FX return. But not gonna do that because it takes a lot of time, and it's, you know, you just, there's nothing strange in that. But yeah, I guess I'm done with this. Then let's move the picture, so I'm gonna do the same with the JCM800. Well, alright, yeah, now it's a JCM800 and the same thing. This is the 800 boosted with the Super Overdrive. And without, this 800, I think it's a bit modded, because there's more preamp gain than usual on the non-modded ones. But now the preamp gain is at 7, so it's kind of like where a non-modded one would have if it would be full. So without. With the SD. Okay, and like I told you, how I set up the sound, so it's just good basic sound without anything, and then when I add the Friedman it goes into, well, overdrive. Okay, and now 800 has two inputs, so I'm using the low input whenever, because in Shining I mainly used 800 with the Friedman, and just to set it to clean. Or JCM2000s, those worked great. Those were my favorites. And then let's add the Friedman. And then the Super Overdrive. Yeah, like that. Whoops. So again, without the noise suppressor, there's this. I use it just to cut out the hiss. $800. Let's lower the DI level here. So, as you can hear, the Friedman does a pretty damn good job. But again, real tube amp is still a real tube amp. The way it reacts, the headroom, the openness, how the tubes react, there's just something to it. Well, the something, I guess it's the tubes and the amp. You can get really good results with amp-like pedals and plugins and stuff. I mean, I've used this one on the albums directly to New Neighbor or some IR and then record and plugins and stuff. But not whenever, but usually, especially on rhythm guitars, like on Cyrus albums, I've used real tube amps. And if I just play as a fun at home, just noodle around, I mean, nothing beats a real tube amp. And especially with the nowadays modern technology, like I'm using the Shure reactive load, so the amp goes into this and then goes to the 11 rack and then to Logic, so I can play with, you know, these moderate volumes, and then the sound just comes from Genelec speakers. So so I can kind of crank the amp but still have a moderate level. I have the Friet cab here, which I sometimes use. I don't dare to use it that often because it's loud, but that's the best feeling in the world when you play in front of a 4x12. You know, you feel your hands doing like, well, these are kind of, but you know, so again, and I love the fat bottom cabinet. So, well, yeah, that was the comparison. And if you check the description, I put the time codes where I'm playing with this and that, so you can do the comparison like to yourself if you wanna do that. That's hopefully helpful. So, but yeah, great amps. 800 is the amp, but Jubilee comes pretty damn close. I mean, it's kind of the same, based on the same circuit, the JCM203 circuit, more, I don't know, sophisticated, I guess. And you can play with this one. You can, like I showed you, you can. There's more gain on tap, and the controls are more. They actually can do something. So it's, I don't know, more advanced version. And the Friedman, yeah, you heard it. It's really good. Creating that British Marshall sound. And again, super overdrive, you know. So yeah, and the guitar I used is my signature ESP. Was in drop D tuning with EMG 57 and 66 pickups. My favorite ones are these and the 81 and 85 set. Kind of like the same. This has a little bit more windagey vibe. There's those windage PAF style highs and maybe a little bit more of that low mids and stuff. 81 is really aggressive. I like to use that usually on the last Jara album, No Hells in Hell. I used the 81 when I did the rhythms, and I think most of the solos and melodies I played with the guitar that had a 57 and 66. So yeah, hey, hopefully this was informative and so on. And if you like this, you know, please let me know what you think on the comments below, and I would appreciate a subscription and so on. So hey, until next time, take care, all the best, bye.